So we now have patch notes for the latest Valorant PBE, but not only does it contain the exact numbers for the Cypher changes, it also contains Raze Nerfs, Judge Nerfs, and 2 slight changes to Skye and Fade when it comes to how their utility interacts with Cypher's tripwire. I already talked about the Cypher changes yesterday, but here quickly you can officially see the 3 changes and how Riot described them. And here is an example of how Cypher's trip is going to stun. Now you can see pretty quickly it's going to hit them. Again, I mean, here is what the changes say. They say decrease the time until the trap concusses a captured enemy, 3 seconds down to 1.5 seconds, so it's going to stun twice as fast. And another big change that you saw right there, now when an enemy walks through it, it isn't going to get destroyed. This guy can just keep on walking backwards and forwards through this ultimate, and that trap is going to stay there until it actually gets damaged. So you can no longer just walk through this utility in order to break it. You have to actually deal damage to it. And then finally, it also says duration of tag slow when hit by the trap increase from 0.75 seconds to 2 seconds. So I guess that means if I just walk through this, I'm slowed for longer than I previously was. So I guess when I'm walking around now, that's a little bit longer. That last one, I'm a little bit less sure of exactly what it means, but they said that's what changed. What also changed is how easy it is for Skye's dog to hit Cypher's trip. So normally, this trip, I believe, would get hit by Skye's dog. However, now on this new version of Valorant, you can see this Skye dog is going to go straight through. Now, obviously, if you just jump, it doesn't look like it. Maybe if you lunge. Okay, if you lunge, it is still possible to hit the Cypher trips at that height, but for the most part, you can see there, Skye's dog will now go under the main height for Cypher's trip. Then there's a similar change to Fade's Prowler and how that interacts, however, at different heights. So now, for example, if you have a Cypher trip at foot height, you can see I've placed it very, very low to the ground right there. Fade's Prowler is now actually just going to go straight overwards. So you can place them down on the ground in order to basically counter Fade. And in the patch notes, they also say head height as well. So you can see I have 2 trips there at 2 different heights. Fade's trying to clear sight with her Prowler, and no. So if you place the trips at head height or foot height, you can see that the Prowler is just not going to hit them whatsoever. So I think this is really cool, and I like how it's becoming sort of like matchup dependent. You'll see like, oh, okay, I'm versing a Fade, I'll make sure I put my trips low. Or, oh, okay, I'm versing a Skye, I'll make sure I put my trips at the normal height. Now let's quickly go over the Judge changes. The first change you'll notice is that the magazine now only has 5 bullets in it instead of 7, and then the reserve ammo has been reduced from a total of 21 down to 15 to match that. However, that is not the only change, because also there's been an increase in the jumping spread that has been almost doubled from 1.25 up to 2.25. So now if you're jumping around with the Judge, it's going to be almost half as accurate as it was before this patch. And then the running spread has been massively increased. Before it was only 0.1, so there was very, very minimal impact from when you were running around with the Judge. But now it's going to be 0.75. So you can, I think, almost even sort of see it on my crosshair here, just how much bigger it becomes when I'm running around. So the spread of the Judge when running around is going to be a lot worse. Now let's talk about these Raze Nerfs. The first one is to her satchel. I'll just quickly show you over here. It's going to sound a bit different as well now. So I'll just go out, use the satchel. Tell me if you notice anything different.
Satchel out.
So it's going to have a different sound effect, and also the arm time is longer. Previously, when you threw out Raze's satchel, it would take only half a second to arm and then deal maximum damage. That is now going to take a 1.5 seconds instead, so triple as long. But another massive change is that this satchel will no longer deal damage at all until it's fully armed. So previously, right, you saw a Cypher trip here, okay, you just satchel it, no big deal. Now, look,
Satchel out.
you have to wait until it's fully armed, so you have to wait 1.5 seconds, throw it down, wait for it to arm, and then it can potentially destroy the Cypher trips. That means the Cypher can just wait here, they see you throw their satchel, they break it before it's armed, and it is no longer going to destroy the tripwire. Then to cap it all off, we have some slight nerfs to Raze's grenade. Now these ones are a little bit more minor. Firstly, the explosion radius for both the primary and secondary explosions has gone down from 6 meters to 5.5 and 5.25 meters respectively. So this one you probably won't even notice visually, I don't think, but just in general, the explosion is going to be a little bit smaller. And then the minimum damage for both of those separate explosions is being reduced from 15 down to 1. So previously, if you got hit by the very, very edge of a Raze grenade, you're like all the way back over here, but it still damages you as an enemy. Previously, that would hit you for 15 damage still. Now it has a chance to only hit you for as low as 1. And the last change is that the damage multiplier to enemy utility has gone from 250% all the way down to 100%. Okay, this will obviously still break most util, like the grenade and the alarm bot. Okay, well, I just tell you, it will still break the alarm bot. But I did want to see if it is still possible to break the lockdown. Okay, so it will still break lockdown. That's obviously a pretty big interaction. A grenade can still break lockdown. I'm trying to think of what things it will no longer be able to break if it's the damage towards utility is being like reduced from 250 down to 100%. I've got nothing off the top of my head now, but I'm sure you guys will be able to let me know. And yeah, also let me know what you think of these nerfs to Raze, the Judge, and the buffs to Cypher.